So today I just wanted to give you guys an update on the Fraser Valley. It's a slow market right now. It's going to be winter in like 2 weeks. Probably next week it's going to start being winter. And there's not a whole lot going on. Like even the news cycle, like there's not a lot of blockbuster articles being released. I haven't heard of a developer going bankrupt in a couple months. There's not a whole lot going on right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to like kind of off the cuff just talk about the market. And the first thing I want to talk about is the sold to assessed ratio, right? So the sold prices in relation to the July 2024 assessment value. And this is something that sellers often bring up to me as well. It's assessed at blank, right? So they're expecting a sale price that is either more or around that assessed value. And things, generally speaking, are selling quite a bit below their assessed values at this point. And this is on aggregate right here. So on aggregate, your detached home is going to sell 5.9% below its assessed value. Your apartment's going to sell 7% below, which I'd say is pretty accurate because if you have a $450,000 assessed value on your condo, it's probably going to sell for like $415,000 roughly, right? And then you have townhomes at a 5.6% below their assessed value. That's what things are selling for, right? So you can get a pretty decent gauge of the value of your home if you just take this and you minus the amounts that are on the screen. It's not going to be accurate for everybody, but it should give you a decent ballpark. Now, that being said, I'll give you some examples here of, in one of my recent videos, I was talking about how in Abbotsford, specifically for detached homes, and I'm sure it's probably the same all across the valley, if you have a move-in ready product with some renovations that's presented very well, the price of those properties really hasn't come down very much. It has, but marginally. However, the starter home product that needs renovations, that doesn't show amazing, that stuff has come down a lot, $150,000. And I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. This one's a good one right here. And they're not all going to be like this, but this one sold for $880,000 and it's assessed at $1,100,000. And if you look at the pictures of this property, nice lot, nicely landscaped, but you'll see that it's needs work. It's not a disaster. It's not like you would have to gut absolutely everything, although I probably would if it were me, but you could move into this home and live here the way it is. You know what I mean? Like it's not like you wouldn't be able to secure financing on this. But this one sold like $240,000, $230,000 below its assessed value. Now, if I pull up a home like this one and we look at the pictures on this, it has renovations. Nothing crazy. The renovations look like they might be 4 years old, 5 years old, or something like that. But it's move-in ready. You wouldn't have to do anything when you move in. Okay, and this home went for $930,000, and it's assessed at $963,000. So that begs the question, right? If I have a home that I want to sell that needs a bunch of renovations, what do I do? Do I do the renovations to try to sell closer to that assessed value? Or do I just list it low and sell it now when it needs a bunch of work? And here's the thing, right? I can't make the decision for you. This is a gamble that the seller has to take. And I'm pretty sure realtors are going to have different opinions on this. My opinion on it is that the risk you run right now by doing the renovations to try to get a higher price is that you're probably not going to get every penny back that you put into the renovations. If you do $60,000 worth of renovations, you might get an extra $40K for doing those renovations. Typically speaking, depending on how bad the home is and how much renovations you do. And B, the market is falling, right? Every week, the market's probably falling 5 to 10 grand, depending on the product you have and where it is. And that being the case, let's just say your renovations take 2 months. Well, the price of your property might go down $40,000, $50,000 over the next 2 months, depending on what it is, right? And maybe I'm over exaggerating, right? I don't know the exact number. It definitely feels like that. And all of the money you put into those renos, sure, now your property is going to sell a lot faster, and you might get a more serious buyer, but you're not going to actually net any extra money. You might actually lose more money because now you've sunk more money into the property, and you're probably going to sell it for maybe a little bit more than what you would have gotten. Because again, it's going to take time to do those renovations. You might not get every dollar you put back into them, and the market is sliding as you are doing the renovations. Now, if you could get away with just doing the floor, paint, baseboard, updating something very minimal that maybe only costs like 10 to 15 grand and it can be done in a week or two, those renovations are probably worth it to do because there will probably be an ROI on those renovations. Like I find the bigger the renovation, the less the ROI, and it starts going actually negative, right? But when you're doing renovations that are like 10, 15 grand, you can actually make money on those renovations, and they don't take very long to do. And the property will sell quicker, meaning less time on market, meaning less time spent, riding the market down. So in most cases, I would say if you have one of these properties, just lower the price and sell it for a lower price. Because even if you do the extensive renovations that the property needs, you're probably not going to get the dollar out of those renovations that you're hoping for. And the property is losing value every single week that you're spending doing those renovations. But that's something that I've noticed. Not all property types are equal. The bad quality properties are dragging down the sale prices. The good quality, at least in the detached market, I think everything is falling across the board when you talk about condos and townhomes. But what I've seen from specifically Abbotsford detached over the last year, the good quality stuff has come down, but it hasn't come down very much. But the subpar quality stuff has completely tanked, fallen off a cliff. Now, going forward for the rest of the year, I personally think, as you guys know, we will get a rate cut tomorrow. If not, probably another one before the end of the year. I don't think it's going to do anything for the market, as the first 10 didn't do anything for the market, but it's still a positive thing. People's mortgages are going down, and that means that there is more disposable income to be spent back into the economy. And that's why there's a lag for these things, because even when interest rates go down, people still have to renew all of those mortgages slowly over time. When they renew them, they have additional income or additional money every month that they can spend back into the economy, which stimulates business, which means more people have more money to then go and buy real estate. But that's why there's a lag behind this. That's why an interest rate cut, isn't something that instantly fixes the market. People's renewals have to come up, right? And then once they renew, then they have the extra money to spend into the economy, right? So I think we'll get a rate cut. I think that the rest of the year is going to be slow, obviously. And I think 2026 is going to be a mess as well. It's just probably not going to be as big of a mess as 2025, but I think it's going to be a mess. I think sales activity will be slightly higher than it was this year, which is good for realtors and mortgage brokers, but I don't think the prices will be higher. I think the prices will be lower next year. And that's going to be part of the reason why sales activity will return. And I think prices, pretty much as far as you can see at the moment, are going to keep going down. And if you are a seller right now, as I've said in many videos, I would cut your price and get rid of it now, unless you are planning to hold it for 5+ years, because I don't think there's probably going to be a better time to sell in the next 3 years, unless maybe you have a detached home or you have something unique and special. You might get a better chance to sell in the next 2 years, potentially. But for the majority of people that own real estate, I think the best time to sell, unless you're willing to hold it until 2029, is probably going to be right now. But that's kind of the update for the Fraser Valley. Things are slow. Prices are dropping. They're coming down still pretty fast. Townhomes in Abbotsford, I just saw one listed $699, brand new, with a double car side-by-side garage. Those were going, in this specific project, we're selling in the high 7s, I believe, just at the beginning of the year. So those are $699 now. You have brand new 1-bedroom condos in Abbotsford at that $380 mark. You have 2 bedrooms that are pretty much new, under $500 now. If you go to Langley, your 3-bedroom Willoughby Heights townhome is in the 700Ks now. I've seen even mid 700Ks to like 780. You could not get this product under 800,000 for a very long time. You have your 1-bed condos in Willoughby in the high fives, 580-ish, 570. You have your 1-bed Willoughby condos kind of around that 450, 460 mark. Prices are coming down. Things are getting more affordable, and interest rates are going to continue to go down as well. So if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. If you want to chat with me about buying or selling real estate in the Fraser Valley, there's a link down in the description. Otherwise, I am that Agent Kelly. I'm making moves to move you. Peace.